Monday, September 3rd, 2018. We're currently looking at the lower level water vapor imagery for the Atlantic Ocean. Now I'm just going to give a quick tropical update and just wing it. I normally do just wing it. But first off, this one they've been building yesterday, they finally got some spin into it. As you can see here, I believe this is going to be Hurricane Florence. But they have this one just going to slowly go up and just sit there in the middle of the Atlantic. I don't think it's going to do anything. The one we want to pay attention to is the one that just popped up here to the southeast of Florida. And somebody told me they're calling it Tropical Cyclone 6. I believe they're going to call it Tropical Storm Gordon. And what he's going to do is go straight to the northwest, and it's going to be anywhere between New Orleans and the panhandle of Florida, probably, affect down here on the Alabama, Mississippi coast. It actually looked like you guys down there in Louisiana and Mississippi last night got what was starting to look like a tropical storm or tropical, whatever you want to call it, development. But you can watch them and see how you can even see they heat it and they just evaporate that. See how it just dissipates, just disappears. We'll move along. First, we're going to look at the composite NEXRAD reflectivity images. This is from early this morning until just about current. But what you were going to notice here, well, first off, you're going to notice where all the NEXRADs were bloomed up. But then you're going to note all these interference spikes, which you will always catch through these severe weather storms. And I'm sure that's just a coincidence, And here's a little PDF on interference spikes and what they call it here, the threat to weather radar by other wireless technologies that transmit at the same frequencies. But we want to keep in mind with these X-band, bands, the frequencies all these devices transmit, because that's important, because we know smaller devices like cell phone, masts, towers, nodes, whatever you want to call them, are transmitting at the same frequency, or can. And like you will see random dots and spikes out here in the open and places, and we'll know that is just random interference. Now when we're seeing it through a storm like this, it's not just random interference. Now we're going to move along and look at the most current images. I want to pay attention to this storm real quick, and then we'll get back into the tropical. I'll let that load. And right here, we'll take a good look at them storms that just march across the plains, the Midwest, whatever you want to call it. And just what you'll notice, all the chem spray all around it. And then you'll notice these popcorn cumulus clouds popping up, where the NEXRADs are bloomed up. People are going to think, well, they're natural. Well, I'm going to tell you that they're not natural. They were ionized. Now, that's about as close to natural as you're going to get. Or if you're looking early in the morning and you see water vapor coming up off the trees or streams, that's as close as you're going to get to natural. Move right along. We'll get back to NEXRAD. I want to take a look at, this is going to be Tropical Storm Florence. No, not Florence, Gordon. I think they're calling it Tropical Cyclone 6 right now. That's like right before it moves up to Tropical System Upgrade, or whatever you want to call it. But you can see where they're starting to gouge in the pressure there, the high pressure, to get it to start getting a little spin. I don't think it's going to spin up like a hurricane. I'm not seeing too much there. Now we'll take a look at This is from yesterday, and like I said, you can see they started to get this to spin up into a hurricane. We'll take a look at that when we get to the mimic map. I'm pretty sure they zapped it. Also, we'll take a look. Or we'll take this and hit it like that, so we don't have any of the stitching patterns in it. Take a look at the fires out west real quick. Oh, something else I wanted to take note of on this map. Zoom forward. This is today. But this hurricane, I don't know what they call it over here. If it's a hurricane, I think they call it a cyclone, or I forget what they call it out here. Oh yeah, this. Look at this. See all these ship tracks? Ship tracks, ship tracks, ship tracks. This storm here is comprised of nothing but ship tracks. I just found that interesting. You got a whole, whatever the hell this is, comprised of ship tracks. Move right along, we'll look at today. Here is Florence. So you see it's starting to get more of a hurricane shape, and when we got two ducks here, I don't know if they're considering them anything or not. But really I want to take a look closer at Gordon. See if we notice anything. Just a bunch of chem spray or chem bombs. You'll notice you can even see that microwave pattern ever so faintly in that. There's where we started at lower level. We've already took a look at the central plains. Here is long wave infrared. See where they're bubbling up. Usually this one you can see real good where when they evaporate. I haven't went back far enough, but last night you could see where they, right around what was developing here, you could see where they hit it with energy and just literally you just see the water vapor disappear. Here's a closer look at Gordon. I mean, just look at that mess. Cooking away. Like I said, you can see where they're gouging in the high right into that. Here's a look at, this is Florence here. Closer look at Florida. I like these ones because sometimes you can even see that planes go by and you can literally see them dropping flares. I don't know that I really seen any before I started looking, but you can just see where they're superheating in this mess. I mean, that just looks awful. This is weather. People were calling this weather. What else do we want to look at? Here's some dusty plasma I caught last night. You can see all the waveforms in it. Here's a plane. I caught two of the same planes. Alright, this one's spraying, right? And then one just went by right by it, or the opposite way. But what do you notice? He just flew by, nothing. These were both American airline flights, the same exact plane. I was on flight radar. So, why is one leaving a contrail and the other not? It's because it isn't a contrail. And these were the short, what do you call them, non-persisting trails. Here was the even smaller jet. And then there was another one going the other way too. If I can find, I think that was him there. That's what that mess of dusty plasma looked like to begin with. and then it started turning in. You could start seeing the waves in it more. Yeah. Yup. There's that other smaller jet. Some weird, I thought it looked weird, like a square anvil cloud. I think it was most likely getting targeted on the top because it wasn't that high in the atmosphere. Here's a look at that American Airlines one that wasn't spraying. So even these shorter trails, they're not contrails like people were saying. These planes shouldn't be leaving trails at all. But, you know, people, I guess, are going to believe what they want to believe. Move right along. This is a look I wanted to see. Skip ahead to when we'll watch the path of Gordon here. See where it heads. This is a GFS model. As you, if you'll watch and see, it never really gets into a full, they never really have it spinning into a cyclonic-like system. About right, we get, I think 5 or 8 p.m. It's about as close as you're going to get. That's tomorrow, 8 p.m. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a major tropical storm. But like I always say, it doesn't have to be a hurricane or a tropical storm to cause devastating, you know, damages to people's properties, whatever, you know. Now this is the morphed microwave imagery. And we're going to notice a whole lot on here. Just, you see these little beams going up and down all around right here behind this storm. Some of these are stitching errors and they will edit them. But when you see these little white dots in the center of these cyclones, that is evidence of manipulation. We can see this. Now my wife this morning, she asked me, because she was, she's real high, real nervous, and she was asked me to take a look at the Schumann Resonance. So I went over here, and what do we see? Right here, big old spike. That's a big spike. So she could sense this. Right here is about your baseline, this green line. It goes all the way across. I believe that's, what is it, 7.8 or something is the natural Schumann resonance of the planet. But right here, I believe this is anywhere, you know, probably around midnight from the day before. You know, this is early in the morning, late at night, however you want to look at it. Big old spike there, and then you see it's coming down. It's still spiking a little bit, still spiking a little bit earlier, and this is the most recent, so it hasn't leveled out really yet. What else do we want to look at? Go back to my page, close this out real quick. Now, I've seen somebody claiming that Trump legalized chemtrails by signing House Resolution 353. And they said in there was something about $3 billion for aerosol dispersal to address global warming. Now, I went through it and I couldn't find anything. The closest thing I found was $25 million is authorized for weather and air chemistry research programs and atmospheric chemistry and interactions essential to accurately characterizing atmospheric composition and predicting meteorological processes, including cloud microphysical precipitation and atmospheric electrification processes to more effectively understand the role in severe weather. That was the closest I could find to whatever this claim was. Now, what would concern me more is A, advanced radar networking technologies, and other ground-based technologies, including those emphasizing rapid fine-scale sensing of the boundary line and lower troposphere, and the use of innovative dual-pole phased array technologies, and this one right here, future technology. The Undersecretary shall continue the development of airborne phased array radar under the United States Weather Research Program. Okay, so we're going to take a look at what airborne phased array is. And here is an airplane. Essentially what this is phased arrays, like kind of like multiple radars in one. So we got these flying overhead, and they want more of these and continue the development. So when you see these big C-130s flying overhead, it's quite possible that it's decked out with the phased array radar. And here's some other airborne sensors, satellites, etc. You know, people don't think they're up there, I know, blah, blah, blah. But they are lasers. They got Doppler up there. What else they got? There's one, an X-band one up there. Let's see if I can find it. Instead, Terrasaurus here. This boy, big boy here. But yeah, this is essentially a X-band radar flying over our heads. You can get in there, like I said, you want to pay attention to what frequencies these are transmitting. And this big old spike here, I'm not sure what that's from, but yeah, we got all this crap floating over our heads. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if it's from the ground. And then you got all this recently, like you see these little lines going up. Is that what caused this spike last night? Who knows? Who knows? All I know is our weather is engineered. There's hardly any natural weather left. It's all on systems. It's all ran on a computer by a numerological climate model. These planes that fly overhead, they adjust their altitudes and their flight paths according to your numerical climate models. It's all ran on a computer. So, you know, these are facts. These are facts, people. You can look up the FAA. Good fellow at researches at Jim Lee. You can look up his stuff. He's got the quote from the FAA's own climate scientists of what they're doing. So if you don't believe in any of this stuff, like it's just because you want to remain ignorant. I know it doesn't sit well, like when you first find all this stuff out. It's kind of like going through a grieving process, you know, denial and all that happy stuff. But here's like what I like to do, and just do a lot of researching and reading. There's one up here. I just type in, get right here, with Google Scholar. I typed in electromagnetic shifting weather modification. Now, and you can just go through here, read all these PDFs, all these studies, and you'll find out that they can use X-band radar and radars and all that. Like when I found, I mean, and you'll find other stuff too, but you know, like right here, mood modification with ELF magnetic fields. The one I liked is, if I can find it. But you get my point. Just get on Google Scholar here, type in whatever combination of words, and do your homework. I can't do your homework for you. I can't make these videos forever. My outbound signal, I can't. It'll take me 6 hours to upload this 20-minute video. But that's my report. We'll check back in at a later date.